Come on home, home to me, and I will hold you in my arms, and joyful be. There will always, always, always be a place for you at my table. Return to me.
So good morning. Thank you
morning,
for
good
having
morning.
us here, and happy Sabbath again.
Yes,
So
happy Sabbath to you.
this series was designed basically for the elders and persons of the church to share their story to encourage others, and we'll see where it goes. So
Of course, yes, definitely.
let's start by asking, who are you?
All right, so, well, as you mentioned, my name is Ruel Fordyce. Well, how should I give my age? If you're familiar with your Bible, there's 2 scores, 2 scores minus 4. You could work on the math. Right, married with two boys. So married. I have 2 boys, and well, as I'm here on this one time, let me just say to my wife, happy anniversary.
Congratulations.
Yes. 5 years ago, on this same day, we would have tied the knot, taken the plunge. Yeah, so happy anniversary to my wife. Right. So more about me though. I like sports.
Okay.
Used to be involved in it a lot. Pretty active. Was really good at track and field actually.
Okay.
Yeah, and that, well, being at Seventh-day Adventist, you already know that you can't participate in certain things.
Yeah.
So some of the biggest meets were on Saturday. And kind of growing up like in primary school, secondary school, went to actually Maracas SD.
Okay.
So we knew that it didn't really have, from the school's philosophy was one that obviously didn't promote competing on a Sabbath.
Yeah.
Right, but when you got to secondary school, shout out to all those who went to El Dorado. That was a real challenge.
Yeah.
So
So I'll ask you, what were you like as a child then?
my memories growing up, love to sing. Grew up in the church. That's something I don't do at Good News, and this is not for me.
Why?
I'm not saying that I would, unless the Lord asks me to. But more in terms of growing up when there was now deceased, a wonderful lady, Sister Sylvia Patricks, who was a colporter at the South Caribbean Conference, and I just faintly remember like going by her on a Sabbath and just singing hymns and so forth. I don't know where I got that from, but love to sing, love to read.
Okay.
Mom, my mom is a teacher. Well, was a teacher, sorry.
Okay.
And, she would have had me during the summertime just going through and just reading all these different books. So I love to read, love to sing. And yeah.
So what were your family dynamics like growing up? What was the relationship between your parents and your siblings?
Right, so I only have one brother. He's 9 years younger than me.
Okay.
Yes, 9 years. So the relationship was pretty good. I was always closer to my mom though, I'll be honest. And
Okay.
so not my dad and I, we have a really good relationship as well. But my mom, I don't know, I just felt it like we always had this connection where I could just share basically anything with her. And throughout my life, even when sometimes we would travel to work together, right? We both were working in Port of Spain. It would give us enough time to be able to share stories, and that relationship and that bond became stronger. In terms of my brother, I said 9 years younger, so it was a bit of a challenge, kind of relating
like
to him.
a gap.
Yeah, because it is like that was a huge gap, So like with my friends, and like he wanna tag along, like but we grew to, and our relationship is good. Could be better.
Okay.
It's not bad at all, but
Yeah.
I just felt like because of how the age gap, that age gap really didn't allow us, especially for me, as I grew through my teenage years and so on, allow us to really connect with each other. So he sees me as his obviously as his big brother, but it's really like that. It's not so much as, okay, yes, this is a big brother and a buddy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's
Big brother, you could come, you could get advice, we could sit and we could have fun, but we didn't have that experience of being able to like go here, climb a tree together,
and do this
you know.
and that and
yeah,
that. Yeah,
because of the age gap, yeah.
So were you always Adventist?
Always. Grew up in the church. Wasn't always that good news, right? Grew up in Kurup Better Living Tabernacle, and pretty much the poster boy there, because there is I think there's still a photo of me sitting on my mom's lap.
That's a very long time ago then.
Yeah, long time ago. Before the current orientation of the CBLT's church, there was a previous version of that.
Yeah.
And before they rebuilt the church in 1990, I believe, there's oh, get my age there. there is a photo.
Of
I believe it's somewhere around, but I look at it and I was like, wow. I don't think there was any one of the other youths that I grew up with that had something like that. So it just showed you growing up from that and transitioning through, pretty much Adventist all my life.
So let me ask you, in your opinion, do you think that more transparency is needed in church?
Yeah, certainly. I would put it this way, transparency is always good, but it comes with a challenge as well. Because sometimes, let's be honest, within our community, it's not, everyone is not as receptive to being open and, I would say, raw.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, they're not open to that at all. So that some people could understand the grace of God and change, and then some people are like, whoa, I didn't know that about you.
Too much.
Yeah, that's a little too much, So you want to be, yes, it's needed. I think you should want to be transparent, because I mean, even this series is about getting to know the elders,
and transparency,
and being vulnerable and wanting to share. But sometimes there's always that at the back of your mind, like, okay, how much do I really share? So you have to be figuring out, like, okay, I could share, but I want to kind of hold back a bit, because you're not really sure how much
to share.
Yeah.
And why do you feel people are very fearful to share their stories, especially in church, which is supposed to be a place where they find some sort of security?
Well, that security isn't always fostered. It isn't always fostered, because I just feel like when from the sincerity of your heart, you might be sharing a story to help somebody, and then people look at your story. Some would get it, and then some would turn it into something that it wasn't meant to be.
Okay.
And it could really discourage people from wanting to be as open. What I see though is that, like, if you have a relation, like when you come to church, persons will have this relationship with each other.
Yeah.
And the more you get to know someone, I believe is like they would have an opportunity to share with you, well, some things that you wouldn't naturally share in the general assembly.
Yeah.
But I think the security is not always fostered, and I think that's why a lot of people, including myself, sometimes you look and you say, like, okay, I want to share some, but I ain't sure if I'm ready to
receive the message.
I'm sure if I'm ready to receive it. Yeah.
So, what are some incidents that have shaped you in your Christian journey, and are you proud of the man that you are today?
Oh, right. Well, it's I've got quite a lot, but just to give you a few.
Just a few.
Yeah, just a few. I look back at, well, growing up as a young person, because I believe, this series was really to help younger persons, right?
Yeah.
So growing up as a young person, I had the as I said, grew up in Adventism, and I had the experiences of Pathfinder, Master Guide. Didn't really spend much time in Master Guide, but I had some experiences in Pathfinders, and then of course the camps, the
full-on Adventist experience.
Full-on Adventist experience. Now my real experience, and I like to step away from it, because it's good to give you the Adventist experience, but it's also good to give you another perspective.
Yeah.
So at 16, I don't know what it is to be at a graduation, to be honest with you, because I would have graduated. Well, I would have completed school, but not would have attended my graduation because at 16, I was already on a plane to New York.
Okay.
Yeah, so heading to work, had my visa, everything, heading to New York. And then when I got there, I remember my dad telling me, he said, make sure don't talk to anybody. Take bags close here because, people could put drugs and, you don't want them to hold you. It was really, at first it was a bit frightening because my first time going to the United States and 16, I don't know what to expect. And I'm going to meet family, but I don't even know what they look like.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, back then, you have to think 2001, you didn't really have the internet as we know it today. So it's like, okay, I heard your voice, but so I'm going through there and, and I met him and my cousin. And then, of course, I was able to work. But one of the things that I would say is that that shaped my experience is that while there, I really got a reality check because we went to do colporteuring, and while on that mission, there were days that I wanted to give up. I was like, seriously, this is what people. I mean, I know of colporteurs here, and that's a full-time profession here. But it's like, what? There were days I'll go out and not a sale. Sometimes we would have the van carrying us to different places. Sun is hot, it's summer sun, and it's just, just rejection after rejection. So I think that was a pivotal experience to me because I get to learn what it means to trust God. And like when I really started to trust Him, I'm not saying that always that it would turn out in the way you want it, but there was one particular day I just went to a particular couple, an old couple. I didn't even think that I would get that amount of sales, and I pretty much sold out everything that was in my bag.
Oh, thank God.
And they had these little rewards they will give you every time you sell, and so that was one experience that that taught me. Even on that same trip, I got ill. The days were really hot and the nights were extremely cold.
Okay.
We stayed closer to Canada, Maine, New England, actually. So I went to New York first, and then I took a Greyhound bus back then. Took like about 12 to 13 hours to get to that. So not me again, huh?
Not
nah. I guess we could now in this time we could take a plane and it could
go.
But funds were limited then, so
okay.
Yeah.
And are you proud of the man that you have become? That's a very important question.
Yes, I have. A journey hasn't always been what I would have expected to be.
Okay.
But I feel like, I needed to have those experiences, even the ones that didn't turn out the way I expected them to, even when I myself may have failed.
Yeah.
Because there are times when I may have deliberately caused my own demise as well. Huh?
Okay.
But I feel like all of that is there's a cluster of experiences that you look at and you say, well, okay, all right. What do I learn from this? It's hindsight, but can I learn something from it? And it has helped to improve my spiritual life. I'm still growing every day, but it's helped. So,
and I would say that sometimes when you go through certain things in life, you could either look at it as a blessing or a lesson. And for me, that has really helped me along my journey.
Yeah.
And it reached a point now where anything happened to me, I would always say, this either has to be a lesson. I am just going through it. This is making me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But it have something here that I would not have an appreciation for now. But when I go through this experience, I would come back out saying, wow, I needed to go through that to get where I am at today. You understand?
Definitely.
So I'd ask you, what challenges do you still face in your journey today as an elder?
One of the biggest challenges that I still face is that there are moments where I doubt God. Yeah, people say, "Oh, yeah, elder, you do," but there are moments when I do, because I have this obsession with logic. So things have to logically make sense to me. If it doesn't make sense to me, then but God doesn't operate on logic.
Yeah.
So, quick example, there are times like I remember applying for jobs and so on, and you would tell yourself, yeah, this is, I did it, I killed the interview, boy. Or, well, we don't kill anybody, but I did well in the interview. And I have the qualifications for it. And you turned out you didn't get it.
And you didn't get it.
And you ask yourself, well, why? And then, the Lord will reveal to you that it's not what you think that you have, but it's what I can do.
Yeah.
And, there are moments there, and there are many other things I could cite where, I would just go into a situation with logic.
Yeah.
And yes, I know God is there, but the first part of me that starts operating is logic.
Logic, yeah.
Right?
I can relate to that too, because if it don't make sense, I don't want it.
Exactly. So I go into it with logic, and then God has to give you a rude awakening, like, hey, listen to me. Faith takes you into another realm. I remember buying a book from, I think it's the Logos Experience, somewhere in Shogunas, and they had a day at work, I was referred to by a colleague of mine, and strange enough, the person who referred me actually is a Hindu. It's like, Hindu guy, tell me about a Christian bookshop.
Strange.
But and God works in mysterious ways, So when I went in, I saw this book on faith, and it's a 40-day journey. I'll be honest with you, that has been one of the most difficult books to complete.
Why is that?
Because how shall I put it? It is a really good book, but it requires commitment. And sometimes I will start and I know that is the devil working, because you started and then you reach it's a 40-day journey, and you reach day 20, and then all of a sudden your life just gets so busy, things, and and you just you don't follow through, and I looked at it and I said, Lord, I know that something big you want to do for me.
Yeah.
It is not necessarily about a job or anything like that. I think in my Christian experience I've grown beyond that. But I think that he wants to show me things. He wants to tell me something, he wants me to experience his glory. And I could only experience that if I really believe him.
Yeah.
And I just realized there is this spiritual warfare. The one part of me saying, yes, I want to complete this, and then there's another no, you don't need to get this information, because there's something that God wants to give you, and I don't want you to get it.
Yeah, to me, I feel like it's always a battle between the right and the wrong, and it's like you're always going at it with yourself.
Yeah.
It's like an internal battle, and it's only recently that saying really hit me, because in times I'll sit down in church and they'll say it's a spiritual warfare out there, and I'll be like, okay, but it's literally a spiritual warfare out here. Just your whole mental health and everything that you have to be dealing with. It is a battle. Sometimes you feel like somebody just beat you up and just leave you for dead at the side of the road. You understand? So I would ask you, and you can answer honestly, do you believe that the Christian journey is fulfilling?
It is. It is. I would say it is fulfilling based on, if I have to be honest with you, I mean, the cliche answer is to tell you, well, yes, it's fulfilling, because when you come to meet Jesus, you find you're a changed person, you experience transformation. That's one thing. But I think it's fulfilling in the sense that you get to adjust the expectations. And Christianity actually does that for you. So you come in with expectations, and then you realize, wait a minute, now you're told what it is.
Yeah.
But I think most of us, especially when you're baptized and so on, you come into the faith, and then you believe, well, all right, yes, this is what life would be like. No one expects, or no one wants to go through the rough parts. But when you go through rough patches and then you come out of it, that's when the fulfilling experience, you will really experience it, because you now realize that even though you go through these rough patches, that's the reason why this is the strengthening part for you. This is the testing period. You can go through, if you could go through bad patches and come out and be better, to me, that is the most fulfilling experience, because what they say, what don't kill you make you stronger, right?
It strengthens your character on a whole different level.
So if it don't kill you, it is a test. But sometimes while you're in this situation, you may not even realize, you think this is it, you're going to be finished. No. God got your back, he have your back, so you just steer the course with him. And once you do that, you'll be fine.
And do you believe that church is still relevant in our modern society?
Yeah, even more so.
Also.
Even more so. Because I look at, you have social media, right? And I mean, I'm still relating to social media. I use it, but not as often. But I'm still relating to it because there's so much things, there's information overload on social media.
Yeah.
So many different thoughts that have been projected about God, about Jesus.
Opinions.
About
commentaries.
Exactly. Even we talk about issues in the world that the world, there are certain issues that the world now have on their list of priorities, and social issues, and you realize that people have views, they have opinions about it, and the church is strategically positioned to counteract that. The church now, because of COVID, has gone into an online space. I know some people would have been on the online space before, but it has gone on into the online space, and I think now it gives the church a little more leverage to be able to reach more people, to be able to get that message out. But it also gives you an opportunity to not change the message, but to repackage it. And I think that's where the church could really benefit from. Everybody knows what the Bible says and what, but there is you have to find ways of. All right, one example, the Bible Project. Look at the Bible Project, and I love that project. You get to be able to interact, see all these different, animations and so on, but it makes you feel like you want to read the Bible. It's exciting. It's the same message.
Just repackaged
differently. And I think in this time, the message is important, but a lot of emphasis need to be spent on repackaging how we deliver that message.
I agree with you, because I think if we are in a modern society, then the message also have to sort of like modernize, but not too much where it lose the essence of where it came from.
That's
you understand what I'm saying? So I would also ask you, what advice would you give to young people on the benefits of finding salvation?
Benefits of finding salvation. Salvation, I'll say, is a process. If you have come to Christ and you are, that song used to sing, the things I used to do, I will do them no more. Right, good. So let's assume that is salvation in an essence, right? Because you have now been transformed. I think there's a general level of peace of mind. A peace of mind that no matter what the world standard or what the world projects as the standard for success, or whatever they believe that is in their mind the right thing to do, even though you might be contrary, and it's always a good thing to be contrary, depending on the context, right? That you have a peace of mind, that you're on the right path, you can still enjoy life, you could have fun. I remember there's a commentary that says, no matter what happens, I think it's from the South American Adventist conference. One of the conferences there's a devotional that says, no matter what happens, life is still beautiful. So that salvation is not necessarily about having a perfect life. When I say perfect life, in the sense that in terms of the externals, you can't control all the circumstances around you, right? That's what I mean in terms of perfection. But you can respond to it as someone who has come to know Christ in a better way, and understand that, you know what, we just passing through. Here's not your home, you're a pilgrim passing through. So here, whenever you see that, just be reminded that this here is not your home. I just moving through. I just passing through. I'm like a traveler. I'm just pressing.
Good,
pressing.
Do you think the role of being an elder is a very heavy one?
It's heavy in terms of like what? In terms of
like responsibilities, living up to certain expectations.
Definitely. If you put it that way, yes, it's because they're not even within the church, even outside of the church. If people know that you hold a particular position, people have expectations of you. Some of them are a bit unrealistic.
And what has been your lowest moment as an elder so far?
Lowest moment as an elder. Lowest moment as an elder, maybe just going through periods where I am worrying a bit too much. You know, worrying a bit too much. Sometimes my wife will tell me like, boy, relax. You know, I tell you, it's not really about, you know, and it's not that you want to worry. It's just the fact that there are so many things in life. Like I have all these ambitions. I remember just listening to Kristen the week prior, you know, in his interview, and it's like, you have these ambitions. You want to be successful. Where I'm at now in terms of my job, into the occupational health and safety field, but I have other visions. I have other things that I would like to do that I started doing, but you look and you see so many challenges, and then I look at I have a wife, I have 2 boys, and it's like all of that pressed into one, and then you have your own challenges on work as well, and there are moments where you just want to give up. There are moments you want to give up. There are moments when I have asked myself, does this even make sense? I'm going to like, yeah, God, I know, but this doesn't make sense because I'm serving you, yes, but this is where I'm at. You know, I mean, this is what I want. Of course, by the time we finish, have our little trashing out. I usually boil on like Baji and then realize that, right, okay, God, you win. But it's nice to have those moments. It's nice to have those troughs, valleys and you know, the mountains and the valleys.
So lastly, I'll ask you, who does Ruel Fordyce want to be remembered as by his children, his wife, and the members of the church?
More foremost, I want to be remembered by as someone who loved the Lord, and you know, in whatever pursuits that I would have engaged in. I mean, as I said, there are so many other activities I do outside of occupational health and safety. But whatever I do that is to represent Christ. I think there's a particular text on my phone, and I actually put it as my, let me see if I could, I put it as my home screen. I always remember that. And this is, I think I did that like just about a month ago, because I felt like this is what I want my life to be. Like it's Colossians. Okay, I'm not seeing the text here because of, you know, all these different... Right, but Colossians 1:10 or something like that. It says, walk in a manner worthy of the Lord, fully pleasing to him, bearing fruit in every good work and increasing in the knowledge of God. That to me, that is what I feel like if I were to die, well, I don't want to die right now, but if I were to die before accomplishing everything that I would like to, then I want people to say that, you know, Ruel was the full embodiment of this text.
Well, Ruel Fordyce, I thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story. And hopefully somebody looking on this morning will see and will be inspired. Thank you so much.
Yes, praise the Lord.
Always be a place for you at my table. Return to me.